one of the reasons that Traitors is such a compelling TV show is that it exposes a really difficult truth. And that is that we are not as good at reading people as we think we are. We would love to think that we can spot people who are lying or not being 100% honest with us, but we just can't. And under pressure, groups really start relying on confidence and likability and just vibes as a shortcut for truth. And then the errors just multiply and multiply. And on the TV show, people are defending their mates, their pals, saying, well, they could never be a traitor, even though the programme is literally there to prove that trustworthiness and deception can coexist. Once the group locks onto a story, it just becomes contagious. It becomes groupthink. And you see this emotional contagion and people following the most confident voice in the room. And I have seen this time and time again in teams in healthcare. When we are tired and overstretched, we just default to these same shortcuts. So when someone is in the corner in their fight, flight or freeze zone, we don't recognise that. We just think they're a bad, nasty person for being at their end of the tether and snapping at us. We just attribute it to some sort of personality flaw rather than the fact that they have just had the day from hell. We decide what someone really meant instead of checking it with them, and we make decisions about people without having that person in the room. And that is kryptonite for teams. It destroys trust. And there's also one really fascinating contrast between the people that you can see on TV that have been chosen to be the faithfuls and the people who are traitors. Because when the faithfuls are trying to work out who's a traitor, they're stressed, so they often accuse. There's emotional escalation. They use that certainty as proof. They gossip. They think they can mind read. And they have this idea that everybody must agree with me, otherwise they're really offended, rather than just trying to talk things through. Whereas when people are traitors, they know that they're lying, and they also know for sure that other people aren't lying, that other people are faithfuls. And so these traitors, they rarely just go off accusing people. They only accuse to sort of distract from them. And I've watched them sharing their suspicions, but very respectfully, so they're not getting people's backs up. They're asking questions calmly. They're making their cases without bulldozing anybody. They're rarely getting defensive in a very panicky or reactive way. Well, these are the good traitors. The bad ones do. They get voted off. But some of the ones I've seen, they don't over-explain. They don't become outraged by stuff. They just quietly hold their ground. And that makes them really believable. Because here's the really uncomfortable truth, that calm people sound right even when they're wrong. So this isn't just about stopping assumptions, it's about communication skills and making sure that you're checking stuff out. And if you want to be heard in a conflict situation, the goal isn't to have the strongest feelings, it's the clearest language.